day, good night, all. CFR Network, CFR News. Thank yourself for most importantly surviving another day. I have a special guest with me. Very long overdue, Jeffrey. I heard you on Star Report, and I thought as soon as I heard those tones, I was like, "That's Jeffrey, isn't it? Wait a minute!" And then I heard you again. I thought, well, I've got to get in contact. Let's have that catch up. Welcome to the broadcast. Here. How art thou?
I am doing very well, brother. Every day above ground is a good day, man. I am blessed.
We most definitely are. We most definitely are. So it's been almost centuries.
It's been a hot minute, man. It's been a hot minute.
Yes, I think during was it I think zombie apocalypse, I think that sort of period. So it's been a good
Around then, yeah. I mean, gosh, that
yes.
become such a blur. We were going so hard during that time, man. That was just like, wow. I mean, that's kind of when a lot of people started content creating and content listening was during that
Yes.
COVID era for sure.
Exactly. There's been a huge explosion. I mean, you had for the first 8 months, literally everybody and their mother was now a podcaster, and they were spending all of this money on this equipment, and they was producing. Some of it was okay content, I will say as well. Some
Yeah,
of
yeah,
it,
yeah,
unfortunately, 60+% of it was a
yeah.
load of rubbish, and they soon found out the time and effort, dedication, hard
Yes.
work, and all the rest of the intestinal fortitude it takes to produce content on a consistent basis.
Facts,
Um,
whole facts.
and
Yes.
then they said, "Oh, this isn't for me. I'm not even
Wait a minute, why am
monetized
I
yet."
not putting up Joe Rogan numbers immediately? What's going on? Why don't I have Alpha One or Alpha Brain as a sponsor? Why
Yes,
am I not making all the money and selling all the t-shirts and the merch? Huh? What's going on here?
exactly. It doesn't happen over a long, protracted period of time through dedication, hard work, as I say, consistency, just some of the keys to success. And then it
Yeah.
happens. People are just so click your fingers. Wait a minute, I've just done it. I'm now a multimillionaire. Never thought I'd be able to do it, but I went onto that course or I took that pill and I'm now the man.
Yeah, no one wants to put in the hard work. That's for sure. I mean, like I always say to people, like I was talking to you off air a little bit ago about the network. I tell people who want to come on the network, like, have a passion for this and let the other stuff be a byproduct of your passion and your consistent, your tenacity for producing content. Don't go in
Mm,
there with the incentive of like, I'm gonna go cash out and run to the bank every week. I mean, it's just not realistic. Like you said, there's an ocean of content out there now,
yeah,
but people say, there's too many podcasters. I'm like, but is there though? I mean, look at how many movies there are.
I
Some
know.
of them suck, some of them are great. Look at TV shows, some of them are
Mm,
sucks. I mean, the streaming platforms, there's shit everywhere. There's content everywhere. Like
yes.
anything else, the cream will rise to the top. And like you said, most people don't have the patience to put in the work to really, ascend in the game. I mean, the numbers are daunting. I mean, it's like, but you're not going to come out the box pumping out Joe Rogan numbers. But if you stick with it,
Mm.
you can carve out a little niche. Like I always say, whatever you're into, if you're into blueberry muffins, there's a podcast for blueberry muffins out there. Enjoy.
You raise an excellent point. It's something as interesting for some and not interesting for others. With the power of this AI technology and how people are so connected to their crack phones, you will come across, oh, I'm going to be baking blueberry muffins. Siri or whatever, Alexa, ask me this. Oh, now I've done that now. So moving forward, it's going to start popping up on everyone else's devices. But the point is, they'll say that. And then
Yeah.
oh, wait a minute, there's a podcast. Someone's actually got a whole podcast dedicated to muffins and the different types of muffins.
I
Let's
mean,
look
look
at
at
that.
the ASMR world for God's sakes. I mean, millions. These guys are putting up crazy numbers just whispering into a microphone and talking,
It's
just unpackaging stuff or whatever it is. It's crazy.
definitely. And then you've got the goods, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the indifferent. But the good is my boiler's stopped working. Before I call the boiler, can I look on YouTube, the old boob tube, and see if someone has got some kind of information on there? Here we go. I've managed to find what the fault code is. Maybe I can just call up and then call a few of these guys and reduce my outgoings because I've identified potentially what the problem is. Someone's going to come, they're only going to charge me $80. Jobs are good. It's those little things. Or I've broken my washing machine. I haven't got the
DIY.
money. Exactly. Everything DIY, detailing, mechanics, you name it, making clothes. any question you've got, any tutorial you've got. I've just bought something from IKEA. How on earth do I put this together?
Yes. Yeah. It's definitely a good, useful resource, but yeah, don't say anything about Gaza or the don't. Obviously, there's
Mm.
certain boundaries,
And you
which is
have to.
ridiculous now. Not to interrupt, I'm sorry, but I haven't even really. We still have a lot of subscribers over there. Like we've kind of shifted. I rebranded the platform since we don't do the farm as much anymore. But I put a lot of work was put into building that platform, so I rebranded it as that podcast network. We still have the Conspiracy Farm archives over there. My show, It's Me Speaking to You's archives over there. We have former NFL wide receiver Kenny Shedd has a show. We got some kids working some comic book stuff. We got Seeds of Abundance with these guys who are now working with the Trump administration with making America healthy again. So I'm just trying to build
Mm,
under this new a new banner, if you will, called That Podcast Network. And like I said to you, we're gonna have a conversation about possibly getting you over there. But
indeed.
yeah, that's kind of what we've been up to, man.
Spreading the love, spreading the
Yes,
knowledge,
without a
and
doubt.
creating bonds. Because, this plane of existence, it's a huge place, but at the same time, it's very small. How connected we are now via the use of this wonderful means of technology. Um, Again, it's about your mindset, your outlook, and what your plans are. The internet, unfortunately, at the moment, for many people, it's a gift and a curse
Oh,
because,
without a doubt.
as you know, we've got access to unlimitless information that our foreparents, our ancestors, couldn't have dreamed of obtaining or having.
No.
Let's go back to pre-internet when someone would make a comment or make a statement or say, "Oh, have you read this or did you know about that?" And you think, "Oh, I don't actually know about that. Let's go to the local library.
Yes.
Let's get that book. Oh, you don't have that book. You've got to go to Central Library in Birmingham City Centre. Okay,
Well,
let's
no,
get
no,
on
no.
the."
But even to realize they don't have the book, you have to go to whatever it was called, the card catalog.
Oh, yes,
Yes,
exactly.
you had to go to the old school Google to pull out the things to see if alphabetize. Oh, D. They had to pull out that big card
Yes.
catalog to see if they even had the book. Then you had to go
Mm.
find it.
Yes, very true. And that took a lot of gumption. That took a lot of time to do that.
Yes.
Whereas now you can just literally type, 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 and
Tip of
there's
your
a
fingers.
plethora of information. Now, don't get it twisted. It's very different to the virgin infinite internet where you would literally type something in and you'd have a plethora of really quality, decent information. There'd also be some rubbish in there that you could
Sure.
quite easily get yourself through. But now, depending on what you're searching for, paid corporations and NGOs make sure that certain things rise to the top. So if you have a question, I've just saw something on the news, Jeffrey. Um, let me just see if I can find an additional source to see if there's a different point of view on the topic.
Right.
And unfortunately, you think you're looking at a different view, but the different view has just been manicured to appear on the headline to be an opposing view, but it's an homogenization of the exact same concept and idea.
Yes. Exactly. A very good choice of words. Homogenized. I mean, it's all very homogenized. There's nothing to find any original thought or any real critical thinking that or any information that hasn't been censored or cultivated, to maintain some narrative. Good luck. But in the age of information, like ignorance is a choice. We got so
Mhm.
much at our fingertips. Got to do some digging. Sometimes it's not going to be, but that's kind of the world today. Hey, I read this article. I watched 30 minutes of whatever, Sean Hannity, and now I'm informed on the world. I mean, it's not
Yes,
really how it works, but a lot of people just want that shortcut to thinking and to assume they're informed because they got a little sliver of something, which is probably bullshit anyway.
unfortunately. And again, it starts in many different guises. So depending on your family group, whether you come from a two-parent household, then that will then look at that foundational structure that was created then. What was their educational background? What was their goals and aspirations? And then at that point, you're then given over to the schooling system. And then the schooling system says, wait a minute, we've got a bundle of energy here with untapped, unlimited potential and gifts. Hmm. At the current climate, it's not the industrial age, so we don't need you to work in mines and pits anymore or manufacture vehicles. What we need is service workers. We need someone to sit in a cubicle, be customer service, or basically work in the hospitality or food industry. That's all we need now. We don't necessarily need the technical minds. We'll get a few of those. But your job, and we're going to do this from as your little child, we're going to teach you to repeat, regurgitate, and acquiesce to authority because this is your path. We're not
Yes.
going to allow you to use your right brain and say, actually, you know what? I really like nature and trees and animals. I want to do something where I can sustain a living and maybe help or categorize or catalog these species and try and do something in nature. They're not looking at that. That's not even
No.
cool or trendy.
No.
Nature, grass getting dirty, huh?
Right. Yes. Yeah, they just need a constant, consistent assembly line of worker bees and drones.
Hmm.
That, I don't know if you remember the movie Gattaca,
Yes.
old school one with Ethan Hawke, but it's like they just, almost kind well, not anyway, creating these genetic, we're just worker bees, cultivating just straight up worker bees with no critical thought.
Yeah. It's more than obvious, but it's
Oh gosh,
also
yeah.
very difficult to step outside of that because it's as humanity, mankind, and the rest of the beings that are on this plane of existence, being outside of the norm or outside of your comfort zone is it's challenging, isn't it?
Oh,
You know,
without a doubt.
you've got your route home. Why would you go any other route? That's the route you take. If I deviate from that path, it's the unknown, it's the unexpected.
Well, yeah, there's that, and then just like stepping out of, the group think, the hive mentality, it becomes, I mean, it can potentially become dangerous. I mean, look at the COVID situation. I mean, they had people snitching on people, calling the snitch line if they
Yes.
had more than three, four people. I mean, how dare you gather with more people? How dare you not get this vaccine? I mean, it was just, and we've always seen different iterations of that. How whatever it is, how dare you not maintain this BS narrative? And I used to say on the show all the time, and in this age of information, ignorance is a choice, and people's choosing ignorance can and has become potentially dangerous for people who do question stuff, who aren't
Yeah.
just necessarily just falling in line.
Mm.
You become the other, and we've seen, oftentimes throughout history what happens with the other. And I mean,
Oh
yeah,
yes, it's very much a
it's
slippery
a very
slope.
slippery slope.
Yes, and it's very dangerous. I mean, it's being played out in the wilderness of North America, as I call it, and the brains of the beast where I am. It's being played out on very similar lines, but it's very subtle and sophisticated, should I say, over here.
Yes, and again, I was just having a conversation last night. The best social engineering occurs when you don't realize it's happening. And like you
Yes.
said, throughout the world, the whatever tribal war or this versus that, it manifests differently. But I mean, people say divide and conquer. I mean, they don't want to conquer; they want to control. Divide and control.
Mm.
They need us. They need us involved in. I mean, granted, they want to get rid of a bunch of us too. Like I always see, we're the carbon they're trying to eliminate. But
I watched something, it was maybe in the 90s. I can't remember who the professor was, but he was in Congress and he had two graphs up from the earliest, I think it was like 10 of the century, 1920s up to like 2000 and maybe 15 or so. And there was one showing carbon and there was one showing the climate. And he was showing like in the 1930s or something like that, the highest amount of CO2 was being produced, and there was no effect in regards to the climate. Then he started talking about the difference between climate and weather, which, if you think about it, climate and weather are related, but they're two different things.
right,
So he's showing the graphs and the data showing this period of time. Currently, we have very much reduced levels of CO2, and the connection is none. We are living
yeah.
on this plane of existence. The weather cycles happen, climate cycles happen. We've just got to live with it. What we can't do is pollute this plane of existence. We can't be littering and destroying this plane of existence. Not saying, wait a minute, carbon dioxide is the lifeblood of this plane of existence. We are made up of carbon dioxide. Plants take in that and do
Well,
what?
and what do we exhale?
Yeah, exactly.
Ultimately, climate. I mean, that whole narrative is just a rebranding of eugenics because, like you said, humans create a shit ton of carbon dioxide. So ultimately,
Yes.
it's a war on humans. They just
Indeed.
rebranded eugenics as they're basically saying humans are bad in another way. Instead of
Yes.
calling it eugenics, like I said, they rebranded it, and now it's like stop having kids, stop doing,
Mm.
what was it, Georgia Guidestones type stuff. Let's get rid of a bunch of you freaking knuckle dragging mouth breathers to
Yeah.
balance this out.
hmm the ideal symbiotic relationship, man, humanity, and the plane of existence. Now that was blown up. Has it? It's been rebuilt, hasn't it? From my recollection,
What's that?
the Georgia
I don't know.
Guidestones.
Did they? I'm not aware of that. I'm not aware of that. I
I'm
didn't hear.
sh
Possibly, very possibly. But their agenda's still the same. They're definitely going to try to get rid of us. And this,
yes,
I
but
might be. No, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
do you recall that, you'd bring that? I mean, again, we're talking early thousands now, so showing my age a little bit. But when I first found out about the sort of Georgia's like Guidestones, I thought that's got to be trickery. That can't be real. And then when you look, obviously, because we had the internet then, and you look, and it's on Wikipedia and stuff, and then you
Right.
speak to friends in Atlanta or Georgia, I would say, or in surrounding areas, and say, "Oh yeah, I've driven past there. It's eerie. It's crazy. It's out in the middle of nowhere." And then
Right.
you research it, and you look, and you see the pictures of what's written on there. They say conspiracy theory, which came out what in the 50s, 60s, by the CIA. Like, okay,
Yes.
conspiracy theory. Okay, so what does that actually mean? Somebody's conspiring and there's a theory around it. Okay, so I've got some facts here that I haven't created. What do you say about that now? It's there.
Right.
I didn't create this monument by the private individuals who made the dome now. No. Oh, it's very secretive, but it's all put out. Then you're shunned because you highlight this stuff. And
Right.
then the news show years later, a car going past it exploding for some strange reason.
Right. Yeah. People are catching on. I mean, I think overall, I mean, I don't know, man. It's such a crazy world we're living in. But I mean, I think more people are catching wind to, they're trying to eliminate what was it down to 500 million or something like that. I
500
forget
mil.
the exact number, but I mean,
Yeah.
people. Again, the pejorative term that they throw on so many people for critical thinking and conspiracy theorists, I think more people are, I hate to use the term like waking up, but they're just waking up to the larger apparatus that is, I mean, I say often, man, we've all been kind of victims of chemical and biological war, at least in the States, chemical
Mm,
and biological warfare from our own government with the function of eliminating a lot of us. It's not
yes.
overt kinetic warfare, it's asymmetrical warfare, but the function's still the same. We're eating all this, we're breathing all this, food, air, water, the commercial food industry has been weaponized to kill us. To get us sick, and then the pharmaceutical industry keeps
Mm,
us sick, and then
yes.
ultimately they make a shit ton of money, but we're still dead. And you can't collect rainwater. They're moving people out of rural areas. You can't grow your own food. You can't, non GMO seeds are everywhere. You guys in Europe, it's less. I think you guys outlawed all that shit. But I mean, they
Pretty
just make it
much.
harder and harder for you to become self-sufficient, so you can stay
Yeah.
in this system of the revolving door of being
Yeah.
poisoned and then going to get pharmaceutical
Sick.
and you get more poison. It's
Mm,
eugenics essentially at the end of the day.
yes. And we've been hit by every single angle. I mean, we
Every
we call it food, what people consume, especially, I mean, look at the lifestyle of Americans, the average American. You're working a lot of hours. You may be, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, is an American getting up before they go to work and making breakfast and then leaving like in the movies, like the movies from the 80s, 90s? They're not
I
doing that, are
I
they?
I'm a second shift guy, so I'm mostly like whatever they like 11 or 12 to 7 or 8. So yeah, I'm up. I make my breakfast. I don't know about most people, but yeah, I think yeah, it's pretty typical. Pretty
Okay.
typical.
So are we having so where I'm trying to build a picture of is from what I've seen and from the people I speak to, they're constantly it's takeout, it's takeout, it's takeout. I'm not
Constant.
buying
Constant.
foods, nutrition, potentially as nutritious food as I can find, and going into the kitchen and spending 20, 30 minutes in there just chopping, preparing, and cooking something real
No,
quick.
no. Let me temporarily satiate myself. It's almost like I was going back to like the metaphor, like how we consume news. It's very fast food.
Mm,
Let me listen to 30 minutes of whatever. I'm satiated for a second. I think I'm fed with news and information. Same with food. Let me go to this drive-through, get all this empty freaking calories
yes.
and satiate myself for a second and then tell myself for an hour or two that I'm fed, but really, completely nutrient not lack of nutrients. It's just
Hmm.
all bad, but at least for a minute, I've satiated this hunger need.
Yes.
But really, I've just filled myself with complete and utter freaking poison.
Empty, empty carbs and
Oh,
sweets and sugars and salts, I should say.
and we
And
and we know it too, brother. We know it. That's why I always say we. You've seen the videos of like I bought this Big Mac in like 1997, and here it is still sitting here, and I can almost sell it on the shelves, right? It looks the exact
yes.
same. My dad, my
Yeah.
dog, or my cat, my animal won't touch this stuff. But
Mm.
drive through, and I posted it not too long ago, and you said it was a UK McDonald's. The McDonald's drive-throughs are still full as
Well,
hell. Again,
yes.
in the age of information, ignorance is a choice.
Mm.
And I mean, it is a certain form of kind of passive eugenics. Okay, you know it's poison, you want to eat it, knock
Mm.
yourself out, man.
Mm.
And let's go ahead and thin the herd. I mean, I'm not mad at it. That's your choice to make. I don't want
Yes.
people forcing poison on. I mean, if they want to force poison on us, I want to know it's poison and decide not to eat it. But if you know it's poison and you still eat it, that's your call, man. That's your bad.
Ah, Jeffrey, you're being too harsh, man. The children, they like the McNuggets meal and the kids meal and all that kind of. And look, I'm working like, 48 hours a week. I've got up, I've taken the children to school. They've had that, they've been at after day club and all that kind of stuff. So I've picked them up, it's our time to bond. So we're going through the drive-through. They've got to have
Yes,
the
yes,
fruit shoots and stuff because when I get home, I've got to carry on working. I've got to look after those people. And so then I order the DoorDash, and then the DoorDash
yes.
comes because I'm just juggling all of these balls. And my husband, he's still working. So I get it. I get it. But I think this is obviously, I'm kind of singing to the choir of sorts, but there are some people who do dip in from time to time who are like, this sounds just like me. You know,
Right.
I didn't even think of, cooking food. That's something my mother used to do. Or I go to my auntie's for Thanksgiving and she'll cook. It's the big celebratory occasions is where food is actually prepared and cooked.
Oh yeah. But that's kind of, I mean, and I get the whole notion of parents being busy. We rationalize to ourselves why we have to go, God, I'm so busy and I got so much stuff to do. Let me just feed these guys. And
Yeah.
it's this short term instant gratification that
Mm,
we trade off for, like you said, it's going to suck, whatever, and it's going to take some time, but let me feed my family and myself
yeah.
some food as opposed to just, and I think we even know, man, this isn't good for him, but damn it, I just don't have time for. So
Yeah.
again, let me get this straight. Your lack of time is more important to feeding your children and nourishing your children. I mean,
Mm,
it's kind of an unconscious decision we make, but like you said, we're busy. Like, God, I gotta make some time somewhere,
yeah.
somehow. Am I really gonna
Yes.
spend an hour slaving for my three kids working and making some spinach and blah blah blah?
Yes.
Yes, yes, you are.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yes, that's the choice. But I mean, I think we again do the mental gymnastics and rationalize why we need to kind of take these shortcuts because again we are busy, man. We got a
Mm,
lot of stuff going on,
yeah.
especially the more kids you have, the bigger family you have. It's tough, man. It's tough.
Very much so. And the economy is not helping either. I mean, obviously, Trumpavelli himself is back for a second term. So
Trumpavelli.
so maybe the economy will flip around, we'll do some quantitative easing methods, flood the US market with some fiat currencies, etc. I mean,
Yeah.
let's do it. Let's stimulate, let's stimulate the Americans and the economy again. Um, what will
And we'll
happen?
go for it again. Aldous Huxley talked about, there's a video called "Slavery by Servitude," how we're going to embrace our servitude, and that's kind of what Trumpavelli. I like that Trumpavelli. Yeah. Here, let me get rid of the IRS potentially. Let me put more money in your pocket so you can buy more stuff you don't
Yes.
need. But let me also, man, boy, let me tell you what. I got this new AI genetic specific bioweapon that's going to cure everything you could possibly have And yeah, wow, let me do that. He's the
Yeah.
one who's put all this money in our pockets. We could spend all this money on stuff. Of course, I trust him to shoot more mRNA crap into my body
Come
that's
on.
supposedly gonna, you know,
Mm,
keep me alive forever, which is completely opposite of any of that. Like going back to the eugenics conversation, the last thing they want is you alive for a long time. So if you're lining up for this AI genetic specific mRNA bioweapon, uh, good luck.
it's cool. It's trendy.
It
It's
is.
fashionable. You know,
And
let's
again,
have.
groupthink. Why haven't you got it? What the hell's wrong with you? Don't you want to live forever? It reminds me, and I don't know if you remember Dr. Seuss or you got your audience
Yes,
remembers
yes, yes, yes.
Dr. Seuss and the Sneetches. They all looked the same. They were all these yellow
Mm,
blobs or whatever, but the cool ones had the green star in their belly, and the ones without the star, they were just bogus and kicked them to the
yes.
curb. Where's your star? Where's your star? And I don't know if you remember how it ended. I don't mean to go on about this, but hell, let's talk about it.
Come on, let's
But this
go.
this this guy comes in. His name was Doctor Professor McMonkey McBean. Comes in with this machine, the Star Off machine.
Ah,
So the cats without stars paid him money to go into his machine, and they spat him out with stars. And so the OG cats with stars, are like, "What the fuck? Where'd you guys come from?" And so
mm,
they go to McBean like, "Man, take these stars off us. We're not trying to be like these cats with stars." So it became this vicious cycle: star on, star off, star on, star off. And the last line was, excuse me, when every last cent of their money was spent, the fix it up chappie, the guy who had the star machine,
mm.
packed up and he went. And he laughed as he drove down the beach. You can
Wow.
never teach a sneetch. And I read that when I was a kid and it stuck with me ever since. But we're all human beings, but we're all looking for these reasons to see each other as the other. Well,
Yeah.
you don't have this. You have an iPhone. I have an Android. Or, you know what
Mm.
I mean? It's just we get caught up in these things that detach us from our humanity, essentially. And we'll go through all these links to, I don't know, keep up with the Joneses
Oh
or,
yes,
yeah.
yes. I mean, to a degree, I understand. I get that in its most benign fashion. So your next door neighbor, you know, you admire them. Like, look, their family, the husband, the wife, they always look presentable. Their children are well mannered. They've got a nice vehicle. I want that image as well. So that
For sure.
I haven't got a problem with that. But keeping up with the Joneses, oh, guess what? Guess what, Marianne? Dave's just got himself the V12. He's got himself the V12 thing with the electric battery backup. Okay, okay then. Let me go speak to Simon. I'm sure we can trade it in next week. What color do you want? Forget how much it costs. Forget the children. Forget that you've only just had this leased vehicle for 8 months. Like, throw it all out the window. I need to have the best. I need to be in line with that. Where it's very interesting because generally, I mean, like Gen X is let's go 50-50. Let's be sort of holistic of sorts. 50% of Gen Xers just wanted to be not a part of the crowd. They
Right.
wanted to be an individual. They would like, parlay of sorts with the crowd and do sort of group activities. But in regards to them as an individual, they wanted to be so different and stick out so far. And some people took it to the extremes, and
Yeah.
other people was just, no, I'm just me. You guys want to do that stuff? Nah, I want to watch WWF, okay?
Right.
You guys play your football, you do the FIFA stuff. I'm watching wrestling, okay? If you want to do that, come to my house. Otherwise, the more we move forwards, the Gen Zs, it's being an individual, Jeffrey. Why on earth would I want to do that? Be different from everybody else. If they've got blue hair, black
Yeah.
top, and white jeans, I'm wearing the same thing. I
Yeah.
want to be just like them.
That's what I told my I was 17-year-old daughter, and throughout every generation, I'm an Xer, but every generation does the contrarian look, but you're actually doing what everybody in that generation does to be contrarian. You're not really contrarian. You're just doing what everybody larps or appears to do to be contrarian. You know what I mean?
Mm.
She was rocking a Led Zeppelin t-shirt or a Nirvana t-shirt. I'm like,
Ah.
name me 3 Led Zeppelin songs right now. Crickets. I'm like, you're just going through the motions, looking like, you know what I mean? Like you're
Mhm.
hip to the whatever. But no, I think you're absolutely right. There's always going to be that kind of whether it's manufactured or legit, this kind of rejection of what everybody else is doing. But
Mm.
oftentimes it's, I don't know if you know Edward Bernays. Anyway, it's like
Yes,
oftentimes
Bernays,
our
yes.
consent and even our dissent is often manufactured for us. And as much as we think we're being extra and edgy, it's really just kind of going through the motions that,
Have
you
been
know,
preset and
yes,
predefined, yeah.
yes, yes.
The stage has been set for so many different. I mean, let's bring this up to a more modern lens. I mean, Rising Paradise to those poor children in was it what state was it? It was in Tennessee somewhere, wasn't it?
Is that a recent one?
Yeah, a school shooting in Memphis. Sorry, I don't think it was Tennessee.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was Nashville. It was
Nashville.
not fitting the mold this time. It was a young black kid. It wasn't a young white
Exactly.
kid or blue haired. I mean, it was, and he had an
Yes.
interesting manifesto. I mean, yeah, I have my own suspicion. I don't mean to say that because, like you said, condolences to the family.
Questions.
People, I just have. Oftentimes, these things they're not as organic as they appear. And that's why I say it's interesting that the narrative has slipped because almost every school shooting, I mean, it's just never a black dude who's
No,
doing
it
this.
isn't.
Very,
So,
very, very rarely, if ever. Yeah, they'll stack bodies in the streets and shit, repping the block or whatever,
of
but it just
course.
doesn't manifest in this particular way. So I found that interesting that they switched up the narrative. Young black kids got an interesting long manifesto about,
Yeah.
killing niggas. I mean, it's very some dark stuff.
Very
Actually,
dark.
listened to Star last night. He read some of the manifesto and it was just crazy. And I'm in my mind, I was like, oh, incredibly sad. And I'm
Very.
like, oh, we're switching up the narrative
Here we go. Here
on
we
how
go.
this, yeah, and how these things play out.
But this ties into something I've noticed since I guess since not even well for quite some time. But I think what really piqued not in my interest, but really piqued my understanding, and also overstanding of this situation was the diddler, Goofy. I'm thinking. I mean, I've never liked this character. Never liked this character. He's artist, yeah, most definitely. The music, early 90s and stuff. Outside of that, I had nothing to do with this character. But then we start to see, he's the mogul, the Chirac, someone again, never tasted that, never partook in none of that kind of stuff. I'm hearing stuff. Okay, well, okay, blah, blah, blah. Then it's all over the mainstream media, Jeffrey. We've got Piers Morgan, CNN, we got Fox, we got everybody for
Oh yeah.
a good long period of time. None, the Ariel Hawani was talking about it on like MMA, sports, combat sports, Puff Daddy, Diddy,
Right.
Cassie. So I'm thinking, okay, oh, okay. So wait a minute, I'm thinking, wait a minute, are they turning now? I mean, obviously the black man's already a target as it is already. The black woman's a target as it is already, but not in a global sense. So I'm thinking, oh, this is a blatant attack. This is
Yeah.
they're attacking the black male stature, super predator, criminal, violence, and all the rest of it. We then take it from the sense of the diddler, and then we look at closer to home where I am. There's been a lot of stuff that's been happening over here, Jeffrey. We had a massacre back last year. Visually, you might as well say they're exactly the same looking kind of people. Absolute lunatics. Black male. They said he was a black male and he killed, three children. Is it three of
Mm.
them? Yeah, three of them attacked adults and all kind of stuff. There's been another recent one. Um,
Was it a legal Brit or was he an immigrant or somebody brought in? Because you guys
he
got
was
you,
le well. See, this is what caused all of the riots in and stuff and all the unease in England because this is all programmed and this is all done. They manipulated this. They kept quiet and didn't say nothing, which allowed some of the knucklejaggers to just immediately say he was a Muslim, he was an immigrant, he just came off a boat and made
mm,
all kind of wild accusations, genuine people. Because look, it doesn't matter your color, no matter what country you're in. If you've got illegal immigrants coming into your place, draining the services, you've got a problem. If you see rubbish, litter, violence taking place because of these people, we've all got problems. So it's they got caught up and swarmed with the knuckle dragging, hate-filled people who just see everybody who's non-white as a problem.
Right.
So this
And,
is
and, and not to get it too deep down that rabbit hole, I think a lot of that, whether it's there or here, this mass, I mean, it's the Latin term ordo ab chaos. I think it's by design, a lot of it.
mm,
Create absolute chaos in these
yes,
places, and then we bring order to the chaos. Um, I'm anxious to see how this plays out here in the U.S. with now Trumpavelli back in because he's kicking out so many to the curb because I really thought this was more of a long and it potentially still could be a long term stratagem of the kind of the replacement theory they talk about. Let all these cats in, let them start voting. Give them free shit, and they're always going to vote blue. You'll never have a Republican president again. That's kind of what I was thinking going into Trump, quite frankly, because the numbers Biden was putting up as far as illegals, I'm like, how do you ever overcome this?
yeah,
I mean, if there's, I think 23 of the 50 states where you can legally vote without having an ID or proving who you are. So I'm just like, oh
yes.
shit. And with the illegal numbers, I'm like, they got this sewn up. Like, and then when Trump won so resounding, I'm like, okay, I just kind of rethought that methodology. But I
Mm.
mean, there was a reason why they let all these folks in. I mean, it's I don't think they're still done with that. I mean, you can't even within 4 years. I don't know if you can get rid of. I mean, fuck, man, what are they talking about? Potentially 20, 30 million?
But yeah, but exactly. It's huge numbers.
Yeah, I
It's
mean, how do you
absolute.
get rid of that? You can get rid of a lot of them, but I mean,
So what's your
and
thoughts on all of these ICE raids that I've been seeing all over social media and that famous video that everyone's talking about, the Haitian guy saying, some nice words to Trumpavelli.
I didn't see that. Is that new?
It's pretty new. I've been seeing it all yesterday. There's a guy, they're have you not heard about the raids that they're doing?
Oh, of
There's l-
course, yes. I've heard about
okay,
the yeah. He did that day
yes.
one. He started that day one.
Well, it again. The majority of what I saw initially, I've been seeing loads of videos, and it's like, and people report on it saying, look, the Latin community, we need to be aware. And there was like an actual news reporter talking about, look, there's this one section, I don't know where the hell they were, but they were saying, look, this is basically a Latin community, and all of these shop owners, no one's open in fear of these ICE people turning up. I'm thinking, what on earth? So you've got people who potentially clearly must be illegal, but they're working and have actual
Right.
businesses, not carts, but an actual shop front business. How
Yeah.
would that be
Yeah. Yeah.
even
Yeah.
be possible?
Well, I mean, I get the fear component. I mean, I think I like to think, a lot of them cats I think are going to be safe. At least on paper, they're saying they're targeting more of the criminal element, some of the more violent people who've been
Mm,
convicted of stuff. I mean, I don't know. And in my conspiratorial mind, again, you create the problem of this immigration. Yes, get rid of them. And
yeah,
then what's to say
exactly.
that a potential enemies, domestic American enemies of the state, get slipped into this disappearing crowd?
Mm,
You mobilize these ICE forces, these special forces on the U.S. streets, and start rounding folks up. What's to say? Dissenters. And again, he's got the enemies list. It's legit as fuck. I mean, the dude's coming after folks. We know what's coming after him. But what's to say these people you don't maybe not know his name gets slips
yes.
into these, goes away. Who knows? I mean, I hate to sound like some of them crazy lefties who were just, I mean, you know what I mean? I don't ascribe to that stuff, but
Yes.
I think
I
Trump's back in for a reason,
Yeah.
and I think the clapback is going to be epic. And I don't know if everybody knows who Augusto Pinochet is. I think he's gonna make. He
Pinochet.
kicked out Allende in Chile. Augusto
Yes.
Pinochet came in and started fucking clapping back and
Mm,
chopping heads almost literally. But he was doing helicopter rides, throwing out commies out of the helicopters.
yes.
So my thought was, he's gonna make Augusto Pinochet look like fucking, like sweet tea, like light shit. Not almost.
Mm,
I say that hyperbolically, not hyper, yeah, a bit
yes.
hyperbolically
I
in
understand.
jest. But I think he's going to have a nasty clapback. And because we hated, I always say this, man, the pendulum swings, the cult of personality swings from like your Obama, and we hate
Yeah.
Biden so much.
Yeah.
We're gonna clap for the shit that Trump. I mean, 200 executive orders. Wait a minute, conservatives. I thought we were about the rule of law, the process, Congress. Somehow we rationalize expanding empire, potentially taking Greenland and shit like that. But we will
Greenland.
rationalize it. We will applaud it because we hate what the left did so bad. And again, I think this is part of your Davos crowd, your social engineers,
Yes.
they think of things in shit 5, 10, 15, 20 year increments. We're more of the
Easily.
ADD moment to moment type cats. We don't see that it's really global grand chessboard. We're playing checkers over here.
100%. Their plans are literally, as you say, 25, even longer, 50-year plans,
Yes,
and
yes.
they'll just tweak it slightly. Oh, well, we're